This is a culmination of a summer's worth of work for 3 young ladies from the Dickinson school district. It was a science project with 1 girl from junior high and 2 from the senior group to do their senior project and do their science project on oyster gardening. This system right now is actually taking the new oysters out in the bay to deposit them. All this started with about 60 bags hung off of piers at the Seagate Subdivision. The oysters were originally shells. The actual shells were actually donated by some of the local restaurants who let them sit out in the sun for about 6 months and bagged up and put out along the piers in different combinations. The girls then recorded the information on the depth of the water, location on the piers, and then also the number of small sea life that collected there. And they finished this in September when the spats had attached to the oysters and were large enough to be harvested. The group from Galveston Bay Foundation is taking these out now to deposit them in the area here near Dickinson, and where they actually have oyster beds being started to try to promote oysters back into the Gulf after the beds mainly through the bay were damaged by Hurricane Ike at this restoration project. So from here they'll take the oysters with the new spats growing on them out and put them in the bed.
So we're going to be heading out to Dickinson Bay Island, and Dickinson Bay Island is a man-made island. It was a conservation project done by the Galveston Bay Foundation. It was completed in around 2005 or 2006. Historically, there were actually 3 islands in the mouth of Dickinson Bay, but subsidence caused those islands to wash away, and as part of a conservation initiative, the foundation has been working to restore and create new islands to create new habitat in the area where the existing islands once were. So the first island's been completed for about 8 years now, and it's a thriving ecosystem with vegetation on the surface and some oyster reef down below the surface of the water around the edge of the island. And so that's where we're going to be heading today, to actually place our gardened oysters around the base of the island to help bolster the oyster population that exists around Dickinson Bay Island. So currently we're in the cove on the inside of Dickinson Bay Island, and as I mentioned before, this is a restoration project done by the Galveston Bay Foundation, and this project was created to help replace islands that were lost to subsidence, naturally occurring islands that used to be here in the Dickinson Bay area. And we restored this island to be used as nesting habitat for colonial water birds. Every summer, a water bird survey is conducted on multiple islands around Galveston Bay. This is one of the islands, and we have a lot of different nesting birds out here, including egrets, herons, pelicans, and laughing gulls, among others. And so this is a really vital part of the Galveston Bay ecosystem, and it's an extremely important piece of property. And while we're out here today, what we're going to be doing is placing our gardened oyster shell around the rocky edge of the island, and the hope is that the gardened oysters will help provide the initial population of oysters around the base of this island, and will continue to reproduce and help the establishment of more oysters around this island. And oysters are extremely important to the Galveston Bay ecosystem. Not only do oyster reefs provide habitat for other types of marine organisms such as shrimp, fish, crabs, and other invertebrates, but each individual oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. That means that the more oysters that we have in Galveston Bay, the more filtration is going to be going on, and the more water that's filtered by those oysters. The thought is that the cleaner and clearer the water in Galveston Bay will be. That very far building at the end of the land down there is actually the Topwater Grill, which is one of the restaurants that works with the Galveston Bay Foundation for oyster shell recycling.